back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by my good friend, award-winning filmmaker, Mando Franco. Mando, how you doing today, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I am doing very well. Such an honor to have you here. So for those of you that don't know, he is responsible for the fan film, which is a short. It's not a fan film. It's a short film. Actually, I think it's full length. It's based on the short story, The Boogeyman by Stephen King. It was a full length, wasn't it?
It was a short. It was a really long short. It was like a 35-minute short film.
Yeah. And to me, what is so amazing, you, my friend, are forever in the Stephen King universe.
It's a really cool club to be a part of. The Dollar Baby alumni.
Yes.
Do you know about the Dollar Babies?
I do. I actually just recently found it out, actually. Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist actually filled me in on what the Dollar Baby Club is. But for people that don't know, you can spend, you know what? I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. Back in like the late 70s, Stephen King optioned his short story, The Woman in the White Room, I think it was called. He optioned the story options for that short story to Frank Darabont for $1. And that became a thing where he would option his select group of short stories for only $1 to filmmakers. You have to submit for it. You can't just do it. And there's an approved list of short stories. And I adapted The Boogeyman back in 2013. And just recently, a guy named Anthony Northrup wrote a book, the first book ever about the Dollar Baby program. And my film, The Boogeyman, is featured in the book, and that just came out. You can get it on Amazon and get it at Barnes & Noble. It's out there. So
congratulations,
really cool.
man.
Thanks, man.
That is so cool. And just so you guys don't have to go out, you don't have to go searching, I have all the links right down here in the description. So all you got to do is click the links down here, follow him on social media, check out some of the awesome things he's doing. Like I said, this guy, my good friend, is forever. No one can ever take that away from him. He is where we all want to be someday, in the Stephen King universe. And to say I am not full of envy for you right now would be a complete lie, brother. So it's so cool, and I'm so happy for you. Like I said, growing up, it's something that we all dreamed of doing. We all wanted to be a part of the Stephen King universe, whether it be in a film or sometimes they come back. Is my favorite Stephen King short story. And that's my favorite Stephen King movie, to be honest with you, the TV adaptation. And, I love it.
Right on.
And, it's one of those things that, you're in that universe, a universe that today, even we're still, with the new It's, and we just had, God, I'm blanking, Dr. Sleep. Mike Flanagan just amazingly did Dr. Sleep. And it's one of these things where I'm so envious and so happy. What's it like to just know, like, forever in this world, Stephen King and me are joined in this weird cosmic way, no matter what?
It is honestly really intimidating. I mean, it's a select group of people. You're not supposed to put the movie online due to contractual. There's something in the contract stating you can't make money off it because it's not your work. It's King's work. He's giving you temporary licensing to make it a short film. So I can't make any money off it, and I can't post it fully online. I could send, because we're talking, I could send you a link for the full movie. So if you want to see it, I can send it to you. But I'm not able to post the full movie online. We can go to festivals all we want, and we could put trailers up and scenes up, just not the whole movie. And knowing that it's part of this world, this like King world of like other filmmakers that have been doing it for years, just to be part of that club. There's a special alumni group, and it's just kind of cool to be involved in that. And knowing that, I mean, King's like one of the biggest literary figures out there, especially modern horror figures out there. Oh, yeah. And to adapt one of his works is like, it's really intimidating, but a blast,
Yeah.
Like how many people can say that they adapted a Stephen King short story, like it's crazy.
And it's King's work, but you're also making it your own.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you read it?
I have not.
Yeah, it's in the Night Shift collection, one of his first collections of short stories. It was featured in a magazine originally. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I totally did my own thing with it. I totally tried to put all the stuff I like, but as well as be faithful to it. So
I think I had to have read this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I have read it.
Oh. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's it.
Because I was just looking through, because sometimes they come back, is in the same one. So this is one that I had to have. I had to have this as a kid, you know. So I had to have read this, and just it's been so long, but it's going to get reread tomorrow night, because tonight I already have plans to watch a short film. Can we talk a little about that before we go into what we're here for?
Sure. Which one? X Massacre?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So I made X Massacre is like this basically disguised as an 80s slasher movie. Ultimately, I'm a very broad horror fan, very like genre fluid. I like everything, but I'd never really made a slasher before. So I really wanted to make one. I've had the idea for X Massacre in my head for a really long time. And I decided to make it. And living out here in the Midwest, I'm from Los Angeles originally, but living in the Midwest, we get snow once in a while. Not as much as we'd like, but we get a good amount of snow. And I was like, man, it'd be really scary to have a killer Santa Claus chasing someone through the woods. And then I was like, oh, why don't I finally do that movie I've been thinking about for years? I never could because I never had snow. Now I do.
Right.
And it stars one of your past guests, Miss Jackie Kelly, who's a good friend of mine.
Yes, she's amazing.
This is wicked cool. Yeah, I love working with Jackie. And it was our first movie together, and we've since then done one other short together, which isn't online yet because we're getting ready to do the festival run virtually. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of basically it's disguised as like an 80s slasher, but it's really a psychological thriller, like cat and mouse thriller. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. I mean, you hear X Massacre, I'm like, well, that sounds really schlocky. And those are really fun. Those are like, Sleepaway Camp. Like, those are great, fun movies. Me personally, as a filmmaker, though, I'm more into like Hitchcock style suspense. Sure. So I mesh them. That's kind of my offering.
Well, and like you said, you hear X Massacre, you hear Cabin in the Woods, and you think the same thing. And look at how super intelligent that film is. So
exactly.
I totally get where you're coming from. And are you okay with me putting X Massacre down here in the description as well?
Yeah, go for it. Joe Blow gave us a great article and review, man. So totally check it out.
It's right down here, guys. So if you want to check it out, it's right down there. So we know what you got coming up in the future a little bit. We know what you've done recently, but now I want to go back to the past. I want to talk about how this started for you, my friend. Your first horror movie, and your first horror movie was
Nightmare on Elm Street.
This is God. I love it, man. I love it.
Oh, I didn't. Not at the time. Not at the time. Fuck no.
And it's something I've said often on this podcast. I've probably said it too many times on the podcast, to be honest with you. But I feel in my heart that it's not my favorite, but I feel like A Nightmare on Elm Street is the best horror movie of all time. If you take out the last 5 minutes of the blow up doll being pulled through the door and the dumb fucking Freddy car pulling away, if you take that out, I think this is the perfect movie next to Back to the Future.
The Freddy mobile was pretty awesome, though.
Oh, fuck that Freddy mobile. I hated that fucking thing. But that's why we're here, man. I'd love to know what affected you, what didn't affect you. That makes it so much more fun to me. That's why, to me, the horror community is so much more fun. Because, again, something I've repeated on this before, you don't get rom-com con, but we get horror cons because that's how much it means to us. As horror fans, it's more of a lifestyle than it is watching film. We live this stuff. We love it. We breathe it. We eat it. We sleep it. And that's how much it means to us. And this is a community where you can have disagreements and still be civil and still be friends. So that's another reason I really love to do this. Do you remember about how old you were the first time you saw Nightmare?
I was 4 years old.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Never, 9, 10, never sleep again.
Well, yeah, this was not my choice. This was not my choice. Like, hey, I want to watch this movie and fuck up my childhood. No, this was me hanging out at my uncle's house. It's like, hey, we're going to watch a movie. I'm like, okay. Like, you can go to sleep if you want, but I'm going to stay up and watch this movie. You watch it with me if you want. Okay. And then, starts off, ding, 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 ding. And it's like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep now, asshole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it honestly destroyed my childhood. Like that movie traumatized me in so many ways. In fact, I honestly was not a horror fan, really, until I was about 16, 17. Most people, and I know I've watched episodes of your show, a lot of people are like lifelong horror fans. Like, like, oh, I was, 6 when I saw Evil Dead 2, and it's like my favorite movie, or I was 11 when I saw Candyman, and I grew up watching horror movies. And that's awesome, but not
Right.
me, man. I was terrified of them. I refused to watch any horror movie until I was later an older teenager, and I kind of got sucked back in. I was like reborn a horror fan after I saw Blair Witch.
Oh,
that's honestly
nice.
what got me back into the genre. Was Blair
Witch.
Man.
And Blair Witch and The Exorcist are on a whole different plane to me.
Oh yeah.
Because of the effect they had on the viewer. Back when the Blair Witch came out, you couldn't pull Google out of your pocket to see if this was real or not.
Right.
So I think the Blair Witch, much like The Exorcist and much like Scream, at the time of their release, completely was a shot in the arm to the horror genre and rejuvenated horror in such a great way. All three of those movies, whether you love them or hate them, you cannot deny the impact that those had in the horror community and on society in general. I mean, people were crying leaving the theater from The Exorcist, and then Scream really completely rejuvenated the slasher genre. And then you got the Blair Witch, which you would never, ever have had a lot of these found footage films that you have today, which are so amazing, without the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably like the rebirth of the found footage movie, because people forget about Cannibal Holocaust all the time.
Yeah.
But Blair Witch definitely like took it mainstream, took the idea and made it mainstream. And then you have like The Last Broadcast and just things that kind of came out that were kind of mimicking it a little bit. Over in Spain, you got Wreck. That kind of came out a few years later. So it's like, but it was definitely like the mainstream spawn of a new generation of horror. And it was, it really rattled me, man. And that's kind of what got me back into the genre, really. And I saw it when it first went like wide release.
Yeah.
Fall of 90. You know what? I remember the trailer lineup, dude. You know what trailers we saw in We're Seeing Blair Witch? Sleepy Hollow, Sixth Sense, Stir of Echoes.
Wow.
That was the trailer lineup for Blair Witch.
What a lineup, man.
Yeah. And when people ask what the most underrated horror movie is, I usually say Stir of Echoes, because no one ever talks about how good that movie is.
Kevin Bacon, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie.
I want to make sure I was thinking of the right film, but but I'm also one of those people that I consider The Sixth Sense to be a horror film. A lot of people don't consider that. Is. But yeah, to me, that's absolutely a horror film, man. I want somebody to really honestly tell me something scarier. 2 scenes in The Sixth Sense when he's looking up and he sees those bodies in the school that are hanging, or when Misha Barton reaches out from under the bed and grabs him by the leg when he's in her bedroom. Yeah. Fuck those scenes, man. Those totally got me.
No, that's almost. I mean, you know what actually messed me up was, hey, I'll show you where my dad keeps his gun. Come on. He turns around, you see that back of his head going off. Yeah.
God, you're right. Or she's like, when the beaten wife is like, you can't hurt me anymore, and she's got all the totally with you, man. Totally.
I say that to my wife sometimes. I'm like, no, dinner is not ready. You can't hurt me anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but back to Nightmare real quick. It honestly just destroyed my childhood. Like I was terrified of everything. I would not sleep with covers, man.
Yeah,
I was scared to death to sleep with sheets.
Well, let's talk about that. What a segue there. Let's talk about. We talked about how it affected your childhood and it ruined your childhood. Well, let's talk about which scene affected you the most from Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right. So definitely when Rod's in jail and his sheets start kind of moving, it's like Freddy's arm is under it. Like it's like a snake.
Yeah.
Slithering. And I have this really big fear of snakes already. So the fact that your sheets are like a snake type form and are slithering around you, slowly go around your neck and then start strangling you and hang you. Yeah. I would not sleep with any sheets or blankets, man. I was terrified. I was like, my sheets are going to come to life and fucking kill me.
Right.
That's what's going to happen to me. I'm going to fucking die, So I wouldn't like sleep with covers because I was terrified.
I get it, man. And while we're talking about that, this is a movie, and I don't think a lot of people really understand this. There's only 3 major deaths in this movie. If you want to count Nancy's mom, I guess you could count that to make it the 4th death because they're on the bed, Freddy's on fire, what have you. But the three real deaths that are in this movie are so iconic and amazing. They definitely went with quality over quantity here with, the waterbed, Tina going up the wall, Rod in the jail cell. Like, those are all super memorable deaths, and they're all super scary. When you think about A Nightmare on Elm Street, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
Bathtub.
What? One of these?
Yeah. No, it's not so much. Honestly, it wasn't this. It was the fact that there's that shot where you see her get pulled under, then suddenly it's like a giant pool,
like abyss.
An abyss, exactly, like a black water abyss. And this is gonna sound wrong. I would not take a bath after that. I would take a shower,
right?
But I would refuse to take a bath. And I had no problem taking a shower until I saw Psycho, and that's a whole nother story. But then I just didn't bathe ever. No, I'm kidding. No, but I wouldn't take a bath, man. Like, all kids, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, they love bath time. They want to get their rubber duckies and their little soldiers. They want to play in the water. Fuck that, dude. Freddy was going to kill me. He's going to drown me. I would take a shower.
Right. And unfortunately, I have dissected that scene. Usually I will put the scene up as we're talking about it, but you do see some boobies here, so I can't show that scene. But for those of you that haven't seen it, if you haven't seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, but at this point, it's really just a must-see. The practical effects in this movie, Freddy Krueger's on screen for 7 minutes in the film. But that's how much of an impact he truly has in this movie. And when I talk about the best practical effects, not the best, I'm sorry, my favorite practical effects in the world of horror, the three movies I always talk about are An American Werewolf in London, The Thing, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. These are the three ones that I really think have the best practical effects in all of horror. So even this scene, this isn't one that gets talked about a lot, because like you said, the glove coming up is the big part of it. Yeah. But you're right. When she gets taken down, it's like she's in this huge abyss. And it's just black, it's dark, and it's scary. And I wish I could show the scene, but again, there's Heather Langenkamp booby here, and I can't do that. So watch
Heather
the movie, check it out.
You mean Rooney Mara? You mean Rooney Mara? You mean Rooney Mara, right? I'm joking, dude. I'm talking about the remake. I'm kidding.
Remake? I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, Rooney Mara. You know how Jackie Earle Haley played Freddy?
Yeah. Oh my God, if that's what we were talking about, I'd jump out the window.
Dude, imagine I was like, I came in there like, we're ready to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. Robert Englund, like, wait, who? You mean Jackie Earle Haley? Academy Award nominee, Jackie Earle Haley?
Yeah, we got what's that? The Mandela effect. And Robert Englund never existed, and it was just Jackie Earle Haley the whole time.
It's like, oh, did you hear that Robert Englund died? Who? Robert Englund died? You mean the guy from Urban Legend? It's like, just talk about every other movie he did except for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. That's fucking great.
Yeah, man. That bathtub scene though, man, it fucked me up, and it's terrifying. It's honestly like, that movie is just so imaginative. What it lacked for, I mean, it doesn't even feel low budget, really. I know it was really low budget, and I know it practically built New Line Cinema. We've all seen all the commentaries and documentaries, so we know how little they had to work with. It does not look or feel it, man.
No, this is, like you said, the only time you can really, now that it's 2021 and you look back on it, you do realize that Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger, he is in the dark a lot. You don't see him a lot because the makeup was so different. So, but that's the only thing. You're right. It doesn't feel low budget because of how well this movie was done. Wes Craven was a genius, and the crew and cast that he had absolutely knocked it out of the park.
You could see the exact same thing about Alien.
About what?
Like Alien.
Oh yeah,
it's a guy in a suit, and they didn't have a whole lot of money. It doesn't look, that movie does not look low budget, but it was really low budget.
Yeah,
but it's all in presentation.
Oh man, and Alien is another great film that I could talk about for hours, man.
Totally.
These two movies, the similarities in Alien and Nightmare to me, the badass final girl, the one monster that's around, like there's just so many similarities in these to me that gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to we talked about which scene affected you the most, but A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of those movies where every scene could really be such an iconic scene. So I want to know, what's your favorite scene from A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Well, I got two. Tina's death is pretty amazing. I mean, Tina's death scene, like, her screaming and then being dragged up this wall up to the ceiling, across the ceiling. That's up there with Janet Leigh's Psycho shower scene in Psycho. I mean, it's up there. But I got to be honest, a moment that gives me the chill, like to this day, I'm not scared of that movie anymore. But to this day, when I watch it, there is one sequence that still gives me chills, and I can't tell you why. There's any abnormal kind of movement weirds me out.
Okay.
When Tina's body bag is in the hallway and you just see the legs go up and it just gets dragged off, that just bothers the shit out of me, man. Like I can't put my finger on why. It's just really freaky to this day. It just like makes me like, ugh.
Yeah.
Anything
I totally
with her
get
in
it,
school.
man.
Yeah, anything with her in class, like when she looks over and Tina's in the body bag, like put her hand on the body bag, and with Lynn Shay as the teacher.
Yes.
Like that stuff is it's creepy as shit, and I'm all about that, man. It's inspiring as a filmmaker because anyone can make a jump scare, anyone can make loud music and go boo, but not anybody can give you an image that will just stain your brain and haunt you forever. And that movie is full of them.
Right. One scene that I've always talked about, it's my personal favorite scene in the movie. Nancy rips the phone out of the wall, and then the phone starts ringing again, and she answers it, and he's like, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy," and his mouth is right there and starts licking her face. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Yeah, the sun comes out. Yeah.
Yes, that's always been a scene that to me was just so impactful, and so because at this point he's fucked, he's dead.
Yeah.
I'm your boyfriend now. Like that's just, it's done now. It's a wrap. That's over.
And it's a really missed opportunity for marketing long distance phone calls. So,
they really dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, they had a shot.
So we talked about the big three kills, but I need to know which one is, I hate saying favorite because that's really dark, but which one stuck with you the most of the kills in this movie?
Rod. Yeah, I think my favorite was, again, Tina's Destiny because it's so masterfully done, but Rod's was the most effective because of, the sheets coming to life. I mean,
it affected you to the point where you didn't have sheets anymore.
No, I wouldn't, man. I wouldn't. And like, dude, I was like a traumatized, scared little kid. And truthfully, as a man in his late 30s, I still am actually easy to scare. I'm actually more squeamish. They're not like horror. Making genre films is therapeutic for me, but like I don't like I don't like windows at night because you don't know what's on the other side. So fuck that. I just remember like the same time I was scared of sheets. I was a little older. I still hadn't gotten over the sheet thing or the blanket thing. I read more scary stories to tell in the dark.
Sure.
Do you remember that story about the window? It's called The Window.
Yeah.
I read that, and then I was like, I can't sleep next to the window now, and I can't sleep with blankets. Like, I'm fucked. Like, just, And then that little scene from Salem's Lot with the little kid floating at the window.
The floating?
Yeah. What the fuck? I was a paranoid, weirded out, scared little kid, man. And my cousins and peers at school wouldn't make it any easier. So I was afraid of everything. I still kind of am, but we don't talk about it. So hopefully no one hears this conversation.
Right. Yeah. This is just a big therapy session is all this is. So we talked about where horror started for you.
Yeah.
Now I want to go scream on you here. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie?
Fuck. You ask everybody this, and I should have been prepared, and I wasn't. Like,
it's funny because I do ask everybody, but when I send my list of questions, I never include this because I always hope that it slips your mind because I want a genuine answer. I don't want you to have to sit and think about it. I just want that genuine, bam, this is my favorite right at the moment.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I got a list, but really my number 2 favorite movie of all time, because my number 1 is not a genre film, but my number 2 favorite movie of all time is my favorite horror movie, and that's Psycho.
Okay, nice. I'm assuming the Vince Vaughn one.
Oh, of course.
Okay, well,
I see what you did there.
Before we get in, you son of a bitch. So before we get into Psycho, I want to know, what is your favorite film of all time? Just out of curiosity.
1989's Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Funny story, real quick.
First movie I ever saw on the big screen.
A funny story about that movie.
Yeah.
The very first nightmare I ever remember having came from that movie. And to this day, it still creeps me out when the Joker dies and the camera's panning down on him. And it's just that ha 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 ha. That gave me nightmares as a kid. I couldn't watch that movie because if we were watching that movie, when we got to that part, my grandma would make me leave the room because I would have terrible nightmares about the Joker laying there dead and the camera panning down on him with that laugh track going up. Yeah. So that's awesome.
It's funny because I thought you were gonna talk about another scene, because like there is a real horror movie moment in that movie, and that's when he takes a look at his face and you don't see it.
Yeah.
That's a horror movie moment, dude.
And he breaks the mirror and just starts laughing.
And he's just laughing maniacally. Yeah.
One of the best scenes ever filmed of any movie is the museum scene. When they're dancing and Prince is playing and they're painting. That's one of my favorite cinematic moments in all of cinema. It's great. My favorite film of all time is Back to the Future. So mine isn't a horror movie either. I'm with you. I think that horror as a genre is my favorite. And I think that it's affected me the most in my life. But Back to the Future, I think, is as perfect of a movie as you can possibly get. But, Batman from '89 is up there. The Tim Burton's Batman. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's such a fantastic movie with an amazing cast. Such a great job. And it's funny because back then, people were so skeptical about Mr. Mom playing Batman.
Oh, yeah.
There was such this big backlash about Michael Keaton playing Batman. And now, for a lot of people, including myself, that's their favorite Batman. That's how great. Playing Batman isn't hard. Playing Bruce Wayne is extremely difficult. Anybody can put a mask on and go, I'm Batman. Yeah. That's not hard. But executing the Bruce Wayne side of it, I think, is much harder.
The thing is, when people ask me who my favorite Batman is, I always say Kevin Conroy. And then when people say like, well, no, I mean, on the screen, like, oh, favorite live action movie, well, it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Just kind of like my favorite Joker is Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah. But on the screen, I gotta say, as great as Heath Ledger is, I'm gonna say Jack Nicholson, because it's so I did a real deep dive on that movie, and just like, because it's my favorite movie, and honestly, like, it feels the closest to what the comic book was,
And I'm with you again. Heath Ledger, rest in peace. And I remember, if people want to get really down and dirty here, I remember how many people were so shitty about Heath Ledger even playing the Joker, about, the 10 things I love about you guys going to be the Joker. I'm like, dude, give him a shot, man. Yeah. Like, just wait until the film comes out before you bash it. And but I agree with you. The Joker, to me, was always funny first and evil second. He always, and the Heath Ledger Joker was just so dark. And again, amazingly done. Yeah. Super great. But in my opinion, I would go Jack Nicholson as well. Yeah. And then Joaquin Phoenix just did an amazing job as the Joker. They are getting the best possible people for different generations to play the Joker, and it's so fun to watch.
You see, I want to see, like, okay, so this is a whole other can of worms we just opened.
It's fine.
With my thoughts on Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie, I did not like the movie, but I loved Joaquin Phoenix in the movie. Sure. That being said, I would love to see him play an actual Joker. You
mean like the Joker against Batman,
the traditional Joker.
Yes,
I can see because that movie is King of Comedy / Taxi Driver set in the Batman world is what that movie is. Yep. And there's no way that Joker could handle the Batman. That just wouldn't happen. No, like, he's not a criminal mastermind. He's just there
are funny. I agree with you. I think that there are funny moments in that movie. Yeah. I'm going to be 100% honest here. Yeah. My mother had passed away right before that movie had came out, and we went and seen it in the cinema, and it got to the point to where he, killed his mom, and it was just too much for me to handle. So I couldn't really fit, you know what I mean? Like, at that emotional point, my mom had died like a couple days beforehand. And so I just wasn't emotionally ready, I don't think, for that yet. So like you said, his performance was good, but the rest of the movie's kind of a fog to me because after that, I checked out. I lost my shit. So, but I agree with you. I would love to see him opposite of a Batman and see how that would go.
Because I think he'd kill it. I think he'd kill it, really.
Well, I'm excited to see, the new Robert Pattinson. Everybody, again, people bashing. I'm like, guys, wait and give it a chance, man.
Watch Good Time. Check out a movie, Good Time. It's on Netflix now. It's amazing. He's really good in it.
Yeah. Look, he did his thing in Twilight, whether you love it or you hate it, whatever. The dude got paid and then he started making real movies. Look at The Lighthouse, man.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Lighthouse. Yeah, that too.
So the kid can act. He's a great actor.
I never had any doubt.
No, people, he's in Twilight. Dude, he got paid for Twilight. You wouldn't have done it? I'd have done it in a heartbeat. I mean, I am your destiny.
Heath Ledger was, I think he played a gay cowboy right before he did Dark Knight, and that was an amazing performance. And I never, for a second, I was skeptical about Heath Ledger, but I was like, I think he'll be okay. Because I was thinking about the movies he had done, Monsters Ball, Brokeback, and a few other things he had done. I was like, man, I think he'll be fine. Pattinson, I'd seen other movies. I've never seen Twilight. I saw Twilight once a long time ago. Never saw the sequels. But I saw other movies he was in, and I was like, man, this guy's great. He's going to be great as Batman. I'm not worried at all. I saw him before he was announced as Batman, and I was like, oh, he's going to be great. I'm not worried.
Yeah, that's how I feel. After watching The Lighthouse, I was like, this guy has depth. He's not just, it's not, even though I love John Hader, he's Napoleon Dynamite to me, no matter what. Even in the new Tremors movie, I was like, it's Napoleon Dynamite. That's it.
Right.
So,
have you seen A Good Time?
I have not. I'm gonna watch.
Check it out. It's on Netflix. The Safdie brothers, the guys that made Uncut Gem with Adam Sandler, that really good movie. Yeah, they made a crime thriller with Robert Pattinson called Good Time, and it's on Netflix right now. Yeah, man, it's really good. Really good.
Before we go, I always ask the same question before we leave, my friend. Back to Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think I know the answer already. We are judging that on a skull count. 0 skulls being the worst, 5 being the best. Now, again, I want to specify this is not on the quality of the movie, the how it was received critically. This is how the movie affected you and what it means to you. So, on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls, what would your ranking of Nightmare on Elm Street be?
4.99.
It's about as good as you can get.
Yeah, because I can't give it I can't give it a straight 5 because of the blow up doll at the end.
Yeah. That's one thing for me that's just such a bummer. That's the only thing the remake did better was the ending. I think, and a lot of people crucify me for this because I'm not a fan of the remake. I don't think it's the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie because I've seen The Dream Child and Freddy's Dead. But I will say the ending of the remake with him grabbing her through the mirror is the best ending of any Nightmare on Elm Street movie. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies are historical for having the worst possible endings.
New Nightmare wasn't bad.
I guess,
it was okay.
It's not
the best either. You're right. It's not the best either.
Here's where New Nightmare lost me. Okay. I love New Nightmare. Don't get me wrong. I love it. And without New Nightmare, I don't think we would have got Scream. I think that really started Wes Craven on the meta path. Yeah. But this Freddy Krueger in this movie is not Robert Englund. It's a demon. And they kill the demon by putting him in an oven. To me, I don't see how you kill a demon by putting it in fire.
Yeah.
It's like drowning Aquaman. Like we got him by holding his head underwater. It just didn't make sense. That's where New Nightmare lost me.
Yeah.
But that's nitpicking. It's still a great movie. I'd still put it in, again, I've seen Dream Child and Freddy's Dead. So, those ones to me are about the bottom.
Hey guys, Freddy's dead. That's how it ends.
And it's funny because Freddy's Dead, honestly, is god awful, but it has a special place for me because my uncle took me and my cousins to see it in 3D when it came out, and to us, we're seeing a horror movie in 3D and it was the coolest shit ever. And, as a little kid, you see him playing with the Power Glove, Nintendo, and you're like, yeah, I like Nintendo. This is cool as hell. Then you watch it as an adult and you're like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah.
So, again, guys, I want to remind you all, please make sure you're clicking the links down here in the description. watching his stuff, following him on social media. It's a whole lot of fun to follow him. You're going to get some good recipes in there too, if you're lucky. So Mando, thank you again for joining us. Don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.